All right, my guest today is Derek. Derek is a top producing real estate agent who worked 16 years as a cop before getting his real estate license. Derek sold over 250 homes in just 4 years in the business. He has a strong social media presence, publishing Instagram content almost daily, where his reels get thousands of views. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. People are going to like Derek. Welcome, Derek. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, brother. This is long overdue.
Yeah, we've been teasing this for a while, kind of kicking it down the road. So I'm glad we could make it happen. And I know you got dinner plans. We have a limited amount of time, so I'll keep it tight. So just to start, do you consider yourself a salesman?
Absolutely.
Good. Are you a cop or a real estate agent?
So, and that's a good question. You caught me off guard already, man. I don't know how to answer that.
How do you identify? I think 16 years as a police officer, I don't think that ever kind of leaves your DNA, does it?
Yeah, I think it's funny you bring this up because yesterday I was at a veterans event. So the Calgary Police Veterans Association. And I'm in a room with guys and girls who, some of them in their 90s, right? And we always, there's that bond there, right? I think I'll always bleed blue. So yeah, I'll always be a police officer to some extent. Yes, right? Sure, I've moved on to something a little different. But yeah, to answer your question, I guess I kind of am. I'll always be a cop. Yeah, 100%. Good question.
But on the other hand, if I were to believe your social media presence, which I think is pretty authentic, I think it's real. I've met you. I think it seems like you love what you do too.
I think this was my true calling in life, right? People say to me all the time, like, you wish you started real estate earlier in life. Well, no, because policing gave me those intangible skill sets to put me where I am today. It's maybe who I am, right?
That kind of leads me to another question I wanted to ask you is what are some skills you learned as a police officer that serve you well as a sales guy, as a real estate agent?
Yeah. I'd love to put the lateral vascular neck restraint on clients. No, I think policing, we deal with so many people in so many different walks of life. I think we're inherently, not, you don't start off that way, but you become a really good communicator, right? When you're speaking to people in the rich parts of the city, the affluent communities, then you're going to the maybe not so affluent communities. You really have to adapt. You have to listen to people on a whole different level, right? I think policing, makes you a superior communicator versus what
people
I was
skills
before, right?
And probably it's made you good at handling difficult people too, right? Or difficult situations.
100%. I have bad days like everybody else where I want to choke whomever. But I think, bigger picture, right? I think maybe I'm a little quicker to say, you know what, take emotion out. This is just business. Let's get it done. No one's getting shot at, right? And I've been in some pretty horrific situations. So the grand scheme of things, real estate, sure, there's a lot of emotions at play. And to our clients, it's a big, big deal. And absolutely, I get it, right? But at the end of the day, I'm not holding someone up while my partner cuts them down while they're hanging themselves.
Oh, God. Yeah. I wonder, all the sort of the trauma and the you probably got some memories you wish you could forget from being a first responder, being a police officer. Like, what's something that cops and other first responders understand that like just normal people don't?
I think we get desensitized, right? I think we see so much evil, so much carnage. It's almost, you get desensitized, right?
Do you get the bit of that, like, what do you call it? Like dark humor. There's another word for it, like gallows humor, because a coping mechanism.
Man, you hit the nail on the head. Especially, I remember being in the fatality unit with the Calgary Police, so the traffic section. So our mandate was traffic enforcement, so writing tickets, right? But we also did alcohol enforcement, so check stops, escort work, like the motorcycles, the presidents, the prime ministers, all that stuff. But our main priority was fatality crashes. Right. And we use dark humor regularly as a coping mechanism to kind of lighten the mood. When we're there on a scene for 5-6 hours and you're photographing bodies, sorry for the sensitive stuff, but ripped to shreds, you almost got to have a little bit of dark humor to get each other through it. Sounds terrible, but man, the stuff we see.
Yeah. I mean, that's, like you say, it's got to be a coping mechanism, right? Like, does that sort of, come through with your clients? Do they kind of get that, or are they kind of a bit put off sometimes, or what's your relationship like with your clients?
Learned that not everybody wants to hear all these sensitive details.
Right.
Let's put it that way. Sure, a large portion of my clients are coppers, right? So I get to hear the latest and greatest cool stories, right? I mean, just this morning, somebody was messaging me, telling me about a crazy domestic they attended last night. And I'm thinking, my gosh, right? But I have had situations where a civilian, sorry, a normal human, would ask me like a police story, and I'd probably go into detail because I love storytelling. I got some cool stories. She told me a couple days later that caused her trauma. She said it stressed her out. And I was like,
She's not
huh,
ready for that. Yeah.
she wasn't, right? She wanted to hear it. It's like a train. You want to see it, the trains crash and you can't look away,
Yeah.
right? So I've learned to ask first, like, hey, I got some sensitive stuff. I mean, are you okay? Right? And usually people are, yeah, tell me the good stuff, but not everybody.
You know, I find, talking to different kind of salespeople doing this podcast, so much of what we do as a salesperson is trying to get people to like us, right? And you seem to have a skill for that. You have a kind of like a fun, likable presence online. Coming from being a cop, and I came from being a car salesman. Like these are people that we have to work a lot harder to get people to like us, right? Because right, we're starting on our heels, right? Like who do people hate more,
Yeah.
cops or real estate agents?
So that's a cool point you bring up, right? I mean, obviously, when I started this business, I was on social media posting every single day, 2-3 times a day, and for the first 9 months, nobody called me, nobody, right? And then in month 9, the phone rang, and it was a police officer. Said, "Hey, man, we don't know each other, but I've been following your social media for a few months. You look like you're doing pretty good. Now I kind of feel like I know you. My girlfriend is buying a condo. Can you help her? Don't tell my wife." Exactly. So I guess the point of that is, I think the kind of the purpose of social media for me is to kind of I put myself out there, my authentic self, and I attract hopefully like-minded people and people who've already chosen me,
Right.
right? So I don't often see people reaching out for a home evaluation who dislikes the cops,
Mhm.
right? So I would say I do a fairly decent job of putting myself out there. People know my background, kind of know my story. They don't, they'll figure it out pretty quickly. And I'll either attract people or repel people, and that's okay too,
Right, because you're
right?
attracting the people you'd want to work with anyway, and the people you're going to
Yeah,
repel. I mean, there's 8,000 other agents that they can go
exactly. And
bother.
I mean, do I leverage my background? Of course, right? I mean, I do have an intimate knowledge of this city, right?
Right,
So,
right.
often when a client reaches out and they're moving here from, I don't know, the East Coast or Ontario or BC, one of the first questions is like, hey, what communities are good? What communities are safe? This is why we chose you,
Right.
right?
That makes
But we're
sense. I
going to
never
stay
thought
away
of
from,
that.
yeah, we're going to stay away from this, stay away from that community. Things like safety and securities are non-negotiables, especially being a young parent. I'll never let somebody buy next to a bad guy, right? And I do know where a lot of the bad guys live.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That's an advantage you got for sure. You had mentioned too that a lot of your clients are cops. You just naturally attract like cops must make great clients, right? Like all the divorces and everything.
No comment. But I will say there's never in 4 years have had a cop not approved for financing, for example.
Right.
Right? So usually one of the pieces to getting in policing is a credit check.
Hmm.
I mean, when you think about it, I don't know if it's still a thing nowadays, but I remember, when I started in 2006, I remember I don't know if they actually did a credit check or they just kind of probed it a little bit. But imagine hiring somebody who's got major financial issues. Next thing you know, you're pulling over a bad guy. There's a bag full of $30,000 cash in the back seat.
Right.
You
Yeah,
don't
that's a
want
huge
someone.
vulnerability for sure.
Right. So I mean, cops can't obviously, right? So
Interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that. So you made a big splash really quick in real estate. You're what only for less than 5 years in this business. You've done more than most people will do through a whole long career, right? So, coming in cold as a new agent. Now you'd said you started making content every day and it took a while to connect, but like
yeah.
that early success and like that big splash that you've made, like what would you attribute that to?
Well, I mean, luck. I think
That's
lots of
bullshit. Come on.
factors, right? Like, I think I'm a good soldier. What I mean by that is I'm quick to take direction, and if someone's done it before, why not lean on other people and put into play what works, rather than being that kind of ego-driven person? I'll do it my own way,
Right.
right? So, I mean, I did start on a team where clients were provided to me, and I did have instant success on the team. So, 5 houses my first 3 weeks because I did what they told me to do, right? I won't say the name of the team, but they did spend bazillions of dollars on this whole sales process. And they said, hey, if you do this, sprinkle in some of that, and then do this, and then do it 10 times in 10 days, you're gonna be successful. All right. So I did it.
Put in the reps.
And even with BombBomb Marketing, so BombBomb is a video marketing app platform. I was on this team of 80 plus people, and one of the components of the process was you bomb video a client, right? Or a potential lead.
So what does that look like? Like you just
So you're
record a quick
basically on your
video
cell
or
phone, you're sending them a personal message like,
right.
"Hey, Taylor, it's Derek, blah 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 blah." Right? And I later learned that I was one of only 5 people on the entire team that was even using it, and I got so much incredible feedback from people like, "Hey man, I reached out to 10 different realtors. You're the only person to send me a video message. Everyone else sent me an email. I feel like I know you." I mean, it rehumanized the process.
Right.
Right? So to answer your question, I mean, I'm on a team. I'm being fed leads, yes, but I'm following what they've laid out for me to do
Yeah.
while I'm building up my social media and slowly getting traction.
Right.
Right?
So how long were you on that team before you broke off as a solo
nine
agent?
months,
Okay.
49 deals in nine
Wow.
months.
That's huge.
Yeah,
If
yeah. I
people are
mean,
watching this that are not in real estate, don't realize that that's an insane amount of deals in that amount of time.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm super grateful. Like I said, I learned a ton on that team, right? I also learned things I don't want to do either,
Mhm.
like how I want to run my business, how I don't want to run my business, right? But I would say it was a super invaluable experience, super grateful, but I knew it wasn't somewhere where I wanted to be long term,
Right.
right? And I'll give you a quick example. I remember being called into the office of this particular team, and they said, "Hey, you need to dial down your social media." I'm like, "Well, why would I do that?" Right? They're like, "Well, people are starting to call asking about you. You're not the brand." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I want to build something for me. I've worked for someone else for so long. I want to do my own thing."
Yeah.
And there's other things too, but I wanted to be a solo agent, run my own business, answer my own rules, or
Mhm.
my to my own rules,
Yeah.
right? And that's why, yeah, after 9 months, I went solo, and it was terrifying, but I went all in. And just by the luck of God, the phone started to ring, social media started to kick in, and it's been a fun ride since.
I guess, I shot down you saying that it's luck, but that's some good timing, right? If we go back 4
Excellent.
years, with the market just blew up here, right, in that
Yeah,
period of time. So that was a good time to to get a running start,
yeah.
with the team, learn the basics, learn the skills, put the reps in, and then so yeah, you know what? That's good timing is helpful too, for sure. But I
I
mean,
think it was
that
huge.
wasn't it wasn't luck to sell. Would you say 49 deals
Yeah, but
in
I
nine
mean,
months?
but you know what though? If I had started, I don't know, in a really, really off year, I mean, it would be that much more challenging. Who
Yeah,
knows what could have happened,
right.
right? I might have had some, a negative experience and would have went back to policing, writing good people bad tickets, right?
Yeah, I've had a few of those.
Cut
So
that out. I'm just kidding.
yeah, right. The personal video thing, the bomb thing. Do you still do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every so like for me, I was a big believer earlier on. Like as soon as I started the business, I was all about okay, like there's 8,000 realtors. How the hell am I going to stand out?
Hmm.
Right? And I kept thinking to myself, I have to be a little different than everybody else. People are going to have to learn who I am. If they like me, hopefully they'll pick me. Right? And I felt like video was the biggest way to cast the biggest net. Right? So I every opportunity I get to message somebody or a new client, whether it's a new lead or a referral or even a repeat client, it's always a video message.
Interesting. So do you still use that platform, or do you just like send them a
Absolutely.
text or?
No, absolutely. So I've even so nowadays I have a CRM, obviously, right? So when a new person enters my kind of my world, one of the first things I do, obviously, send them a quick video message, a personal message, right? Not an evergreen message. But then they go into my CRM, and then they're getting dripped on, right? So every few days or weeks or whatever, I have set up for them based on their motivation, where they're at in the process. If they're buyer or seller, they get a video drip, right? And I don't know of many other agents even doing that,
I don't
right?
know of
So
any.
so
So
if I
the
got a
video,
seller,
like that sort of drip campaign, is that always a personal video?
yeah, so it's an evergreen video,
Okay,
right? So I've
right.
recorded 12 videos, for example,
Yeah.
on the selling process in little tidbits, right? So it just little easy, entertaining, digestible little pieces of content that educates the person on the process.
Right.
For example, okay, we got an offer. What does that look like? Right? Or hey, we're coming over for photos. What do you need to do? Or what's conditions mean? What does that look like? And the feedback I get from people, I mean, people don't sell houses every day like us.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of us realtors tend to get, a little complacent. I might go a little overboard, breaking down the different steps of the procedure or the process. But more often than not, I get people like, man, like it's been 10 years. Like, holy shit, I didn't know that. Or
Right.
thanks. Or, but guess what I'm doing while they're consuming my content? They're starting to like me more.
Yeah. And you're showing value to them, right?
I'm being entertaining. I'm being
Yeah.
me. I'm telling stories. And the hope is to educate and entertain,
Right.
right? And that's kind of what I do through social.
Well, I was going to say, I've noticed lately, you tell me if I'm imagining this, but there's maybe been a shift in the content that you're putting out. And I'm seeing more of that, like educational type of
Yeah.
stuff. Like, here's how you do this, and here's how this works, and here's what to watch out for. Am I noticing that right?
You're 100% accurate. So good story. So I was just throwing stuff against the wall for my first 3 years. I didn't have a good structure, right? But a bunch of months back, a marketing company approached me, and normally I would just ignore, but these guys had a pretty good value proposition. I heard them out. I was intrigued. And then ultimately I started to work with them. This is actually in September. So they would give me my 20 pieces of content a month, like scripts. They would do all the research. And then basically I would produce it and then they would edit it and they would post it on my behalf, right? Even though that was going amazing and I could see the results really, really coming in, like watching a lot of that content, it didn't really feel like me
Right.
because it felt very scripted. It felt like I didn't love a lot of the editing. It just the music was off. It just didn't feel like me. But it was. But I see where they were going with it
Mhm.
because I'm entertaining and I'm providing value. Right. So in November, I said, you know what, guys, I'm going to part ways, but I'm going to do it myself. Right. And then come December, I mean, we were all slow in December. I think I sold half of a house.
Right.
So rather than take a vacation, kick my feet back, I doubled down. I learned very, very entry level editing with CapCut. I learned how to use AI, to chop it up and stuff like that to make the process quick and easy. I'm not exactly producing world class content over here, quality wise, but I feel like raw sells.
I agree with that too. The really overproduced content, it just I don't think it connects with people. It doesn't
I
feel
think it's
as
noise.
real. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
even stopped doing intros on my listing videos now. Reason
Mhm.
being, well, I want the house to be the star, but I feel like so many people are doing it, it's becoming white noise.
Right.
Right? And when I was doing it 2 years ago, like, hey, this is who I am, this is my new listing. I mean, watch times were high,
Mhm.
right? Especially if I was a bit funny or I did something like a bit of a skit, whatever. But in the last maybe 6 months or so, I'm seeing those watch times decline. And talking to other realtors, well, they don't even check their insights.
Yeah.
We got to know what's working. So now, I guess to answer your question, I've got a structure, right? And I've taken it to a different level now because I have a content calendar I use called Loomly, right? And I follow something called a 3 bucket strategy. So I want to produce discoverable content, community content, sales content, and then I spread that across my week. Do everything on a Monday or Tuesday. So I preload all my little reels and it posts it for me on all the algorithms, or sorry, all the platforms, leveraging the algorithm.
Okay. So you like batch record your
Yeah,
content and then just trickle it out over the rest of the week.
100%. So I'll do probably 5, 6 reels in maybe an hour, right? I mean, when I first started editing, it took me forever. I
Mhm.
didn't know what I was doing, but I was having a blast. And it sounds cheesy, man, but coming from a world where, a lot of coppers, we don't really have social media, it's kind of frowned upon
Right.
for obvious reasons. My
Yeah.
my
Keep a low profile.
yeah, my old profile used to be Wayne Bond 007.
Right.
Right? Wayne's my middle name. So to go from
That's your
being
burner account.
yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna watch for that now. Watch for Wayne Bond talking shit everywhere.
Yeah, like I mean, to go from like being I don't know, maybe I had all this pent up social media in me because now I'll be honest, I enjoy it. I mean,
Mhm.
it's pretty fun to be in a business where you're kind of giggling at your own shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Sounds
get that.
cheesy, but if you like doing it, it's not really that old cliche. It's not really work. But I mean, I look forward to content day. It's fun, right?
So that's once a week. You got time blocked off in your calendar. I'm going to record a bunch of content, and then you've got a
Yeah.
formula for the type of content you're
Yeah.
going to record, and then you have a third party program to like distribute that out. So
Yeah.
I see you on I guess Instagram and Facebook. Where else can people find you?
Yeah, so I think, well, Facebook is the juggernaut of social media, right? People are like, oh, it's for old people. Man, my kids just started Facebook accounts.
No kidding.
Facebook has crazy capabilities, groups. You can really, if you're into geo farming, or you can laser focus your group or your ideal client. So I think Facebook is amazing. Instagram is fun, but it's a lot of realtors,
I'm
right?
finding that. Yeah, it's
Let's
like
not kid
80% realtors, it
ourselves.
seems like. Yeah.
TikTok I could care less about, but I still, because I have the ability just by a click of a button, I'll cannibalize my content across all the platforms. But I feel like YouTube Shorts
Hmm.
is powerful, right? You can have a video that gets 36 views, but you have two people reach out who are very, very interested, right? Because let's not forget, YouTube is the world's second biggest search engine.
Right.
And when people are there, they're often very intentional. They're looking for something. It's not the scroll mindset like there is on social media. So I think YouTube, especially shorts, is a powerhouse. And for me, LinkedIn has been it's been huge, right?
Interesting. I've heard other people say that too, and I've tried to play with LinkedIn, and I'm just like, I don't know, can't get with it. But it sounds like a few people are really leveraging that.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks don't use it, especially because it costs money. I think I pay a
Hmm.
buck 25 a month Canadian, right? But it allows me to see, law enforcement are all over that,
Okay, right.
right? But when you think about it, even like I got a client the other day reached out. He saw one of my shorts on LinkedIn because now they're doing reels, right?
Oh yeah,
And how many people are doing reels It's almost like this untapped potential. So
right.
a guy reaches out to me. I can clearly see he's the VP of an engineering firm because it says you're where you've worked, where you
Yeah,
went to
it's all
school.
there.
So it's almost like he's pre-qualified,
Yeah,
right? And of course, me from my background, I know different people respond differently to different communications. He's an engineer, so he's going to want a ton of
give me
analytics.
the data. Yeah, give me the data. Yeah.
So I started to correspond with him and I wowed him with data, 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 data. Hey man, I'm studying market stats. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, blah, 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 blah. He was so impressed. He's since hired me,
Wow.
right? I was at his house last night in Mahogany, right? He probably reached out to 100 realtors for all I know.
So that's an organic connection you made strictly through LinkedIn.
Yeah, so I mean, right now, I start my fifth year in April. I would argue, well, all my business at this point is either referral or social media. Of course, now I'm starting to see repeat come in, which
Hmm.
is awesome, right? But I think social media has been my biggest asset because it keeps me top of mind,
Yeah,
right?
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm gonna record this podcast and I'm gonna make some little edits. I'm gonna make little clips and reels, and then I'm gonna put the full video on YouTube, which no one's gonna watch. But all those little clips and reels, I'm gonna put them on Instagram on my account with like 150 followers. I could just one more click, I could have that as a YouTube short, right? It never even occurred to me to do that, right?
You
So
got to, man. Like where's your ideal client? You know what I mean? Like, so people ask me all the time, like, well, which platform should I start with? Well, where do your people? Where's your tribe?
yeah,
Right? Right? Where are your people hanging out? Like, I know realtors who are super successful because they participate in groups on Facebook.
yeah, yeah. I always feel like I get like it's like a swamp. And I'm glad you brought up Facebook too, because
Yeah.
even myself, guilty as charged, like I put very little effort into Facebook because I feel like I feel like it's like a dying kind of, I don't know, boomer platform with cat videos and stuff. But like
Man,
you're
no
right,
way.
there's a huge reach there, right?
So for me, I've been fairly consistent. So I have a group I contribute to. It's a community. I won't say which one, but every Monday when business posts are allowed, I'll do a market report, like a 30-second little video with a little bit of humor, right? And over time, that builds traction. So it's very odd to go a few weeks without getting somebody to reach out from that community, like, "Hey, we're starting to have that. We're starting to think about maybe
Right.
selling or moving, or whatever." Right? I tell people like I'm all about structure now. The first few years was very much, it was easier too. Let's
Hmm.
not kid ourselves, right? It was definitely easier a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Business was falling in our lap.
And I came in at a good time, and I think a lot of success was because of that. I mean, I have so much respect for the realtors before me who, like, man, now that I'm starting to feel more of a challenging market, it's a different ballgame.
Man, I started in 18 and I just ate shit for 2 years.
I,
Like my first year I did 2 deals and
I'm
it was a big time buyer's market. You
yeah,
didn't even want listings. Like we'd have our sales meeting at the office and we'd go around like, how many listings you got? 6. How many you got? 8. It's like, who
yeah,
got a price reduction this week? Raise your hand. It was torture. Like you didn't even want to take a condo listing because it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to call these people every 2 weeks and ask them to lower their price. They're gonna hate my guts. Like, and then it was crazy when it just flipped
yep,
completely upside down and all of a sudden I had to learn how to work it. And that's the other thing too in that buyer's market. you could be a dick. Like you could ask for anything you wanted. You could write a bullshit lowball offer with a bunch of abusive terms in there, and I'm gonna make you clean your house, and I want to see your receipt, and you're fixing every fucking thing I saw
Yep.
on the inspection, and people would accept it because no one was buying anything, right? And then when that flipped on its head, it was like, okay, I got to learn how to like work in the seller's market. I was telling somebody about the first deal I did when things were starting to turn, and I put this house up for 489.9, and I'm like, I thought it was a pretty reasonable price, and right away, like 20 showings booked, and the
Yeah.
first offer that came in was full price, and my client was like, well, should I accept this? Like there's like 20 more showings to go, and I'm like, I mean, it's
I
full
don't know. Shit.
price. Like I don't know, but and then this was an older agent who'd been in on both ends of the spectrum, was like, you got till 10 to decide, but this is a full price offer. And
Yep.
man, you had to learn a whole new set of skills. So it's
So
like,
for me, I kind of got going. My first few listings, I mean, they're sold in 3 minutes.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it was like, oh, this is freaking easy.
yeah,
But fast forward to now, I've had to learn some new skill sets.
hmm,
And I mean, I have an admin early on, probably year two. I got a full time admin, right? So, but nowadays we're like building out in new parts of our process, which is constantly evolving based on market conditions. So
yeah,
I've never had to do weekly reports to a seller before.
yeah. You never had one last that long.
So we've now since built like a weekly check-in where we deliver the feedback from the showings, what's for sale in the area, what changes in status, price reductions, things like that.
Mhm.
Plus all the Realtor.ca hit counters, the social media performance, the meta metrics, things like that. But before we never get to that point.
Yeah,
So now I'm
you just
learning.
present offers.
Yeah, exactly. So now it's a whole new ball game of managing emotions, and it's just a new skill set. It's
Yeah,
just where we're at in the market, right?
but it makes it interesting though, right? And it's never boring. Hey, you mentioned also you're starting to incorporate AI into your business. I'm curious, like, what are you using and how are you using it? If you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, so I mean, AI is pretty new for me. Last few months, though, I've been really trying to understand it, and I feel like, I mean, okay, so Google's an indexed search engine, right? So if I say best realtor in Airdrie with a mullet, right? It's probably going to give me a bunch of different websites where I then have to click, right? Where I then have to click more and do some more digging and figure out, well, where's the answer?
Hmm.
What am I looking for? So it's an indexed search engine. I think the latest and greatest tech is called GEO,
Okay.
okay, which is generative engine optimization. So even though Google is still king, at GPT and Perplexity now have 3 million monthly users, right? So just a fraction of Google, whatever. But people are searching differently now.
Yeah.
So people
You
are
can ask
asking
a question with context, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. So people are asking these AI, ChatGPTs, Perplexities, which are trained engines. At last I heard they were updated till December of 2024, so they're a little bit behind. So yeah, I was going to double check for accuracy. But if you ask a question, hey, I'm looking for the coolest realtor in Airdrie with a mullet, they're going to give you direct answers. So you have to be the end user. You have to be set up for GEO. So now when I'm building content, I'm intentionally doing things so I will appear on those searches. Who's the best realtor in Southeast Calgary? So I'm going to have my content, my website, all that stuff behind the scenes, kind of GEO capable and ready, so I'll be found on these searches. Right? It's just a different approach to content, and it's a lot of it's in behind the scenes, but that's the way the world's going. And again, I'm just in the beginning of trying to understand all this. But to answer your question, I mean, I use ChatGPT every day for content.
right.
Right? I'll say something like, "What are the top 3 questions people have in real estate in Calgary, Alberta, on March 6th, 2024 or 25, whatever?" And it'll spit out topics for me. Then I'll pick
Okay.
one based on my community, my different buckets, my content calendar, whatever, and then I'll say, write me a 30-second script on the February 2025 market data from Krebs Now, and it'll legit print me off a script. I'll take that, I'll throw it into CapCut, I'll use a teleprompter. It'll AI or track my eyes, so I'm not reading from a script,
Right.
and I'll hit the edit button, transcript button, and it'll chop it all up for me.
So basically, the
Yeah.
AI element for you, it's allowing you to just be a lot more productive with less
Oh,
investment of your energy, right?
so you can speak to this. Imagine you had an hour's worth of content. Well, let's just say 20 minutes. Going through it all and cutting it and editing it takes a bit of time.
Yeah, it's tedious.
But if you hit one button, AI transcript, and all of a sudden it takes your piece by chopping it all up,
Yeah,
getting rid of all the ums, the ums, the delays, it's a huge, huge game changer.
yeah, yeah. Well, this program we're using right now, it's going to do that. It's gonna create me a because I hate editing video. I have no patience.
Oh, it's
I'm like
it takes
ADHD. I'm like I'm not doing this. I'll just find a
It takes forever.
distraction.
And one thing I learned too is, so when I started learning in December, I mean, learning curve. As I started getting better at it and watching YouTube videos and practicing and trying different functions, I started to do a lot extra like overlays and things moving and stuff. But you know what? Nobody really cares. So here I am spending 15 minutes trying to figure out a way to get my logo to sweep in behind me and then explode because I thought it
Right.
was cool. But nobody
They
cares.
care what you're saying, right?
It's the content.
Yeah.
And if you put a compelling reel out or video, whatever, short, with a really, really good hook, because nobody has any attention spans. So if you hit somebody with a hook, right, and then your content is compelling and it's valuable, maybe a little bit of humor, because again, we want to educate and entertain. Your click through or your watch through rates are actually pretty high. And
Right.
then the algorithm recognizes that, and then they'll put it out in front of more people,
Yeah. So it
right?
snowballs on itself, right?
And that's how things tend to go viral. Now that's a lot of that is vanity metrics. Who gives a shit, right? If a video gets 10,000 views, okay, fine. But what if 999 or whatever, 99% of them are out of province or out of country or just because the algorithm put it in front of that many people, right?
But
The
if it makes your
algorithm
phone ring
is
once, it's
well,
worth it,
that's
right?
just it,
Yeah.
right? The best performing videos I have are my community content. It's
Right.
not the discoverable stuff, right? Discoverable, the purpose is to get followers, to get on people's map, right? But then I want them, once they're starting to, once they start to follow me or whoever, now I want to, bring the real value. What's an escalation clause? Because let's face it, man, before becoming a realtor, how many realtors did you actually follow?
Zero.
Zero, right? Zero. So if someone's going to start following a realtor, there's a little bit of intent there. Like,
Right.
okay, so are they thinking real estate at some point? Did they maybe just find the person entertaining? I don't care, right? Because everything I look at is in what I call my real estate triangle. And I'm just going to bore you for 30
No, I
seconds.
want to hear it.
I
This
got
is
a
good.
real estate triangle. The corners are this: social media, digital, and physical, right? And my mission in life, the overarching concept for my business is to get people into all three corners, like a bingo card, right? So here's an example. A lady named Kathy. Okay, so Kathy, a couple months ago, was cruising down the street, saw my sign with my big old smile. For whatever reason, she started to follow me on social media. Okay, she started to like my content, the odd comment. Now, let's not forget the purpose of social media is to be social. So, what do? I start to engage Kathy in the DMs. Hey, thanks for liking my content, means a lot, whatever. Of course, we start to build a relationship because real estate's about relationships. So now we're becoming buddies. She's consuming my content, she's liking stuff, we're communicating, right? So check on the social corner of my triangle, right? Well, guess what? Now I want to move her to my digital corner. Hey, Kathy, where do you live? Oh, I live in Riverstone. Okay, cool. Derek, don't worry, we're not selling for 2 to 3 years. Well, we all know that's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's a
It means
defense,
you're thinking about it now. Yeah.
right? She's thinking freaking now. It's three
Yeah.
to 6 months, right? All good, Kathy. I'm never going to rush you. I don't have to rush you. I'm the best salesperson in the world, right? Check out my social media. But let me put you on a market watch portal through Pillar 9. You're going to get all the activity right to your inbox, accurate data, right? And it's going to help you in 2, 3 years when you're ready to list your house. You're like, that sounds fucking awesome. Awesome, right? Let me go a step further for you there, Kathy. You haven't sold a house in a long time. I'm going to set you up with my video series. Cheesy as fuck. But
Yeah.
guess what? You're going to get a little video every couple of days explaining the different parts of the process. And it's going to make you that much more educated and informed for 2 years down the road when you're ready to sell. Derek, that sounds amazing. Guess what? I got her in my social corner, my digital corner. Guess what? I have an open house in Riverstone next weekend.
Come
Kathy, you
say
should
hi.
come by.
Yeah.
Check out the competition. Because guess what? You get in front of me, you might like me, right? Guess what? She brought her husband. Now I have both decision makers in front of me. We're building rapport. We're having a pop. We're making jokes. They get to know me. Week and a half later, they call me up. Hey, Derek, we're actually contemplating listing sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Ocker,
Yeah.
can you come over and give us a good evaluation of the house? Story gets better. I go over there. There's 3 listing brochures on the kitchen island. Like, well, they didn't tell me that,
So you're the
right?
closer. You came in last.
I came in last.
Yeah.
I didn't have any listing brochure. I didn't have a price for the property. The only realtor didn't bring a price. I said to them, well, how can I price a property I've never seen,
Mm-hmm.
right? But anyway, they said, well, they'll let me know. I drove away. My phone rang 5 minutes later. Derek, you're hired. We just want to do our due
Just like you.
diligence. Buddy, they said this to me. We feel like we already knew you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course they knew me. They've been consuming my content for 3 months.
Yeah.
We're talking every other day. They're getting my video drips, which are meme, energy, value, entertaining. And now they meet me in person. Well, of course they're going to hire me, right? So I got that listing. I put it on social media, 24 Cranbrook Drive, and a realtor reached out because of my coming soon marketing. And they came to see it before we went to market and gave us a full list cash offer.
Nice.
$1.35 million. It's kind of the perfect scenario, sure.
That's
But
how you want it to work.
Yeah, but that's a really good example of how that structure could work.
Yeah.
So now in my business, every time if I meet someone at the gym, right? That's the physical corner. Hey man, as we get to know each other, check out my socials. Super cheesy. But I do a lot of gym stuff. We have that in
Yeah.
common. Sounds good, Derek. Now they're in my social corner.
Right.
Before long, hey, by the way,
You're
Derek,
emailing them.
my aunt wants to buy a house. Do you help ants? I help ants.
I specialize in ads, actually.
I specialize in ants. I sold at least one ant in my entire career. But now I got my triangle going. They're getting dripped. That's how I see business. And coming from policing, we're all about the SOPs, the standard operating procedures. So for me to have a structure and a something in play, right? Now, guess who taught me the real estate triangle?
It wasn't Darren, was it?
Darren.
Yeah, I thought it might be. Yeah.
Well, I will say this, a little throw out to Darren. I never wanted to spend a lot of money on a coach. I figured I could just learn stuff or ask people. It wasn't until I was intentional and hired a coach that my business kind of changed. Because the first thing he did was he sat me down and said, let's figure out what's working, what's not working, and let's get a clear path and some structure to your business.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I became intentional. I've got different things in play. I'm not going to go into details. We don't have that kind of time, but he really reeled me in. And now my business, I have clarity, right? I still improve. I'm still learning every day. But the point is I have more structure now than I've ever had before. And it's been a huge asset.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right?
I know you're overdue for dinner. I wanted to ask you one quick thing, if you don't mind.
Please.
I want to hear about your referral system, because you might not know that I know this about you, but I've just heard from other people that you aggressively pursue referral business. You don't have to give away the secret recipe or whatever, but can you share a little bit?
Happy to, man. I'm happy to. I think there's enough business out there for everybody, right? Some people say to me like, why would you tell anybody like what you're doing behind the scenes? Like, man, I don't care. There's enough business for everybody.
Well, and you know what else on that point? You could tell 8,000 realtors what you just told my audience. You know what? Most of them aren't going to have the drive to go out and do all that, right?
I've done 3 presentations in the last few weeks. I might have had 2-3 people reach out like, okay, what do you mean by this? How do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
And we do a call and they'll implement some things. But we're talking hundreds of people. The vast majority won't do it. It's not easy watching yourself on video. When I first started, my videos were brutal. I'm like, is my nose on crooked? Right? But you know what? I said, fuck it, let's go. But to answer your question, a couple of years ago, I talked to a realtor who's been in the business for about 85 years.
Right.
I won't say his name.
I know the type.
I called him on a Christmas Eve. I didn't even know what day it was. Right. And he goes, oh, hey, Merry Christmas, Derek. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'll call you back in the new year. He goes, no. Let's talk. He gave me an hour of his time. This super realtor who's probably done thousands of transactions. Can I say his name?
Go ahead.
Len T. Wong.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
So Len said to me, he goes, Derek, we spend so much money trying to attract the next client, and we don't love on our people who already love us.
Mm-hmm.
Our biggest fans. So he made a shift in his business to focus more on the database. I'm like, well, how do we do that? Right? So yes, social media is an awesome lever because it kind of keeps you top of mind. But I do go a step further. I do a quarterly gifting service. Okay. It's not for birthdays. It's not for Christmas. It's not for home closing anniversaries. It's just because gifts.
Right.
No
That's the best
branding,
kind. Yeah.
the best kind, bro. No branding, no Remax, no Real Broker, no EX, none of that shit. It's a little note, hey, blah, 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 Derek, right? And I mean, come on, man. Who doesn't love getting a package?
Yeah. So 4 times a
And
year, every single one of your clients. And
well,
then
so I'm very selective of who I put into my system.
mhm,
Usually 9 times out of 10, if it's been a good experience and everyone's loving everybody, we'll put them into our system,
mhm.
right? But the odd person, they don't get no gift.
And that's okay. Do you mind sharing what's the price tag on a gift like that?
Yeah, so I do the service I'm with, who Darren put me onto, right? About a $1.20 American per client per year. Okay, so it's definitely an investment.
Like $120, you mean,
$120
per client per
US
year. So,
dollars
okay. For
per
four
client.
gifts for the year, right?
Correct.
And so what? So $30. So $50 50 Canadian dollars per gift per quarter per client. And this is
I think
200
so.
200 some clients probably, right? If most of them are happy with you
Yeah, so I got
and you know,
about 80 people in
they're your
this database
favorites.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's constantly growing. So
Mhm.
one of the triggers, my admin will reach out and she'll be, okay, are they in the program? Yes or no, right? And no, usually it's a yes. But here's the
Yeah.
thing: every few months, when this, when the round of gifting goes on, my phone blows up.
Right.
People are posting on social media, and we're talking about thoughtful gifts here. Like the
Right.
last round was just a week ago. It was these really really cute Acadia like small appetizer plates, and people were sending me pictures of like serving their better half with the
Amazing.
plates with little cheeses. Like it's powerful.
That's a client for life for $40.
And then guess what happens? Hey Derek, thanks for the killer gift. By the way, your name came up. Can you
Of
help this
course.
person?
Yeah. So I
Because
just a
it's
little back of the napkin math. That's,
yeah,
80 clients, 120 a year, I mean, about 10 grand US dollars per year to pay for this program, 14, 15,000 Canadian dollars per year. So not
yeah.
cheap, but man, I've seen what some people pay for paid lead generation for, $1,000 a month for a couple hundred leads, which 199 of them are dog shit, right? Where you take that same amount of money and look after your best clients, and they're going to really look after you back.
And
You know,
here's
I don't,
what's crazy.
yeah.
Here's what's crazy. I can directly attribute 4 deals to 2 rounds of gifting so far.
Wow. Yeah.
What's my average commission? A little over 9K, if I can say that out loud,
Yeah.
right? So 9 times 4, I would argue that's a pretty good ROI,
Yeah. That's huge. That's
right?
awesome.
Not to mention, I don't know that a lot of people realize this, but we're not in this for one transaction. I want to be their realtor forever.
Yeah.
Right? I helped a young fella buy his first condo recently, and we have a plan. Okay, bro, in 4 years I'm coming back. And then we're gonna get this. And then 4 years after that, we're gonna get this.
Mhm.
We have these conversations. I say to people, I'm not here for one sale.
And then 4 more
I want to
years,
be
you're going
your
to get
realtor,
divorced, and
friend's
I'm going to sell
realtor.
you.
Yeah. And I mean, here's a cool, I'll leave you with this story. Someone reached out to me from social media, fresh listing, right? They want me to come look at their house. They're getting transferred back to a different province. I looked up the listing, and they only bought it in 2022, right? And I looked at the realtor's name. I know who the person is. Not gonna say it. Excellent person, fantastic human, excellent realtor, right? But unfortunately, they haven't heard from him since 2022, right? And because I asked, I was like, well, hey, why wouldn't you use your previous realtor? Was it a bad experience? They're like, no, it's a great experience, but we just kind of haven't really heard from him, right? And not that they were upset with this person. I mean, we all get busy. It is what it is. But they didn't even really consider that person an option. Like we saw you pop up on social media, started to watch your stuff, triangle. I put him into my digital world, went to go see him. I won, right? It doesn't
Nice.
happen every time. But point is, we have to love on
Wouldn't
our
have taken a lot of
database.
effort on that other person's part to just check in, right?
Right. So I
Yeah.
feel I've got a pretty good chance of getting or earning the repeat business if I'm top of mind through, social channels and loving on them. And it sounds cheesy, but gifting is my love language. I love giving people shit, right? I'm pretty anti gift basket, as you see. It's
Yeah.
always celebrate, buying a house. I don't care if it's a condo or a $20 million house. You're going out to see the flames on me, or you're going to Chairman's restaurant
Yeah. It's a big deal.
because people remember that shit.
Mhm. Mhm.
and they should. So
I love
anyway,
that. You know what? And I know I've gone past the deadline you gave me, but I really appreciate you doing with this with me. And it took us a while to get together, but I think people are going to love this, and it's been a lot of fun. So where can people find you if they want to look you up?
yeah. Google best realtor in the world. Just
Obviously, yeah.
yeah, Derek Thistle Real Estate or DerekThistle.com. I will say this though, I really love what you've built your business.
Oh,
I
thanks,
think
man.
you're a breath of fresh air, right? I feel like you're one of the people I started to follow early on in my business, someone who I aspire to be because you're a little bit different, and I thought you were well, just fun to watch.
Well, you know what? I'm being
So,
myself. I'm the class clown. But you know what? I'm going to take a lot of that stuff that you told me, and I'm gonna steal it and see if I can level up my business a little bit. So
bro, we learn from each other, right? We
totally.
learn from each other.
Well, let's end it there. Thanks a lot,
Yeah,
Derek, and maybe we'll do it again sometime.
I'd love to, bro.
Cool. All right.